Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Home and Finance Show. I'm Janice Bradley, broker-owner of JB Real Estate Consultants. And joining me is my co-host,
Diana Rice-Wilkerson, lender with Fairway Independent Mortgage.
We are your seasoned, trusted advisors, committed to personally navigating you through the home buying and home lending process. This show is designed to provide you with current and relevant information about different aspects of home buying, home selling, and lending so that you are knowledgeable when making decisions for you and your family. You can also hear us on Saturdays on Praise AM 1310, and I believe we're at 95.1 FM and 92.7 FM. That said, if you are in the market to buy, build, or refinance, we'd love to represent you. You may reach us at the contact information below. Now on with the show. Good afternoon, good day. Let's just put it that way. Shelley and Diana, how's it going?
It is fantastic.
We've
got some great topics to discuss
and
today.
there's no snow on the ground.
Amen.
Okay.
Yeah, right now, we need to celebrate that. Yes, exactly. You know, when you're introducing this show and it talks about seasoned and trusted professionals, it's like the seasoned part. You know what I'm saying? We are well done. We are well done.
I feel pretty seasoned. I've been feeling pretty seasoned. In fact, it's so interesting because whatever I cooked stew one day last week, just in case anybody wants to know, and I did it a little differently. In fact, I think I'm going to sell it because everybody thought it was so great. But I did it in the crock pot. Who uses that anymore? I certainly don't, but I know everybody else. I'm by myself. But anyway, that smell is still in the house. So I say it's seasoned. That's what brought it up. You know why? Because I seasoned everything differently this time.
Gotcha.
I'll give you guys the secret the next time. Now on with this show. Diana, what do we have for today?
Hey, today we're going to talk about escrows. And this is one of those days when I wish we had the ability to take callers, with questions.
Yes.
Because
do something about that.
Escrows are a mystery. We want to demystify escrows. You know, we love our viewers and our listeners, and we know a lot of folks are buying homes, they own homes, and periodically they're forced to increase those mortgage payments, and they're like, "Dag, why is this going on?" You know, my payment includes my taxes and my insurance and all of that good stuff. So we want to break it down for you guys and just talk straight talk about escrows.
Well, I have a first question for you.
All righty.
With my adult children buying homes, you get to hear those questions. Now, what is this? Well, these are very fresh. But what is in an escrow? That is like their very first question the homeowner wants to know. What is it? Does it include my homeowners association? Is it my taxes? Is it what all is it?
Is it
Yeah.
Good question. And an escrow, first of all, let's just keep it simple. An escrow account is nothing more than a savings account that has a specific purpose. So, even if, and I like to do this because we get hung up on these terms, and who wouldn't? I mean, these are not terms you use in your everyday language, but it's nothing more than a savings account that has been designated for a specific purpose. That's what the escrow account is for, that's attached to your mortgage. I would say that's what any escrow account is, but in this case, we're talking about your mortgage. And in this escrow account, so in this savings account, each month when you make your monthly payment, if your monthly payment includes taxes, insurance, maybe PMI, each month when you make your payment, those funds are going to go into that account, right? And they accumulate there until which time they're paid out to whenever that payment is due to be paid out, okay? So that's what an escrow account is. That's what's in it. It's a savings account designated to pay your insurance, your taxes, and your PMI.
I like that. I like the savings. I'm going to share something with you that I kind of use.
Okay.
I share that it is money that is set aside, because savings makes people think another way. I love that, though.
Right.
I love that. So that's another thing, just for them to understand, hey, money that is set aside for you. And that makes them feel, a little bit more
Don't try to withdraw it.
Yeah.
Now listen.
Because savings, we love it.
Let's listen.
Yes.
Good point, Janice. But what you also want to do is, if you can, you want to make sure that you have set up your mortgage payment online, your mortgage account online. I'm not saying pay online. Some people don't want to do that.
Okay.
But you want to view the account. think about it like your checking or your savings account. You want to be able to go in and look at how much do you owe, how much is in that escrow account, that set-aside account.
Good point.
You guys got to do that, okay? Before we get through the show, you're going to know why, too.
And what I love about what you're saying real quickly is that at the time of closing, they're showing you all that. That's nothing you understand. Right. All you know is that you're signing to buy a house.
Yes.
I love that,
And
Diana.
how much money you needed to bring to closing and what my monthly payment is and when is the first payment due, right? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Those three things.
we understand. It's a lot to absorb, guys, and that's why we kind of keep bringing this information to you, because we get it. But anyway, I would say for anyone with a mortgage, if you're still making a monthly payment, go out and set up your account online. And if you're not computer savvy, no worries. Let one of your kids or your grandkids help you with that. All you want to do is be able to have access to it, and you can go out and hit a couple of buttons, and the screens are going to show up. It's going to tell you what the balance is, how much your payment is, how much is in your escrow account. It's probably going to have the last escrow analysis out there. But that's just, a little bit of something. Again, we are about you guys knowing more about certain things and getting really into the nuts and bolts of certain things. And one of those certain things is your mortgage account. So
I also love the savings account. Like, it's separate. You not only touch it, but it's safe.
It's safe.
It's there.
That's right.
It's going to take care of it.
That's right.
With being in Indiana, when are our property taxes taken out? When does that escrow account actually pay property taxes or our homeowners insurance?
Okay, very good question. Taxes in Indiana are payable in May and November. So we're coming up on a due date somewhere in the first part of November. Mortgage companies typically receive the bill. They pay nothing in advance. A bill has to come in. So once they receive the bill, which they typically receive the month before, right? Because the treasurer wants their money.
That's right.
And they pay it when they get the bill. So there should never be a late payment if your money is being escrowed. Never a late payment. They're going to pay the bill. And so it's important that, ideally you have enough money in your escrow account when the bill comes so that they do pay it.
Diana, okay, you're talking about that goes to the lender, of course, for them to pay it.
That's right.
But you're also getting it. Okay.
Yes, we
you
get
as a
it.
customer.
Right.
And my point on that, I believe I've seen situations where, they say this is not a bill.
Yes.
Okay, cool. But I've also had conversations with people that some of their lenders don't have this is not a bill. So they're thinking it's something they need to do something with because everybody's different. Most of them, I think, does have this is not a bill, or maybe some information there that lets them know not to panic.
Right.
Or they,
right.
What?
I would say if I received a tax bill and this is not a bill is not there, or if the escrowed stamp, because for some reason I'm thinking lately they may have even put the escrowed stamp on it. If you don't see anything, right? Because if it's not being escrowed, then you're not going to see anything. This is just your bill.
Right.
The point of letting you know not to pay it, or it's escrowed. The point of you still getting it is these are your taxes, and you want to know what's going on with them. But the point is the mortgage company should be paying the bill. But if you get a bill and neither one of these, this is not a bill is not on there, or the escrowed word is not on there, or there's nothing else on there that's telling you that your mortgage company is going to pay it, I would call your mortgage company. Yeah,
I get the phone calls, but of course, you know what? They may not even understand what even they're seeing. All they know it came to them. So that's
your point. Now, your point, that's the point. That is a point right there. Some people think because the accounts for insurance because insurance and taxes are being escrowed, they are not to get even notified.
Right.
Okay?
And that's a big deal.
And that is a huge deal. Guys, think about your mortgage company just like you would your landlord, or if you rent an apartment, especially like a property management company. Think about your mortgage company is collecting your mortgage payments and paying bills. They're like a property manager. They're collecting the payments and paying bills. That's all they're doing. They didn't set it up. They didn't set up your tax. They didn't determine your taxes. They didn't determine your insurance. They're collecting money and paying bills, collecting money, paying investors. So it's important that you as the owner, you still get the information.
Yes, good point.
You got to get it, and you got to look at it, and you got to keep it in a file, because there are mistakes that can get made. And I tell you, a slew of them got made in the past, maybe not last year, but maybe the year before. A lot of people lost their homestead.
Yes.
And you know what happened, and some folks might remember this, we all got notices. It was a pink paper. And it was almost like saying, hey, you need to file a homestead. We don't see one. We see two. You can only have one. Because some people rented out their property, the homestead stayed on it. They bought another property, the homestead was on that. You can only have one.
I see. Okay.
Homestead is only for your primary residence.
I remember that.
So, you know, and then you lost your homestead, then the payment really went up because the homestead.
Then the games began.
They're not very fun games,
They're
either,
not.
guys, because when you're trying to get this kind of stuff straight, it's hard sometimes to even get to people that truly understand what you're trying to say.
A lot of senior citizens did not understand that, but they were hit real hard on that.
You know, who would? So anyway, to Janice's point, number one, you are going to still get your tax bills and you're going to get your annual insurance notification. It is critically important that you look at these. If your house was completely paid off, if you didn't owe one dime, you would still get these two documents, insurance and taxes, and you got to know what the bill is. And you want to, with insurance, you want to watch any significant changes because insurance is also can be a little tricky. I always I even tell my new home buyers, insurance is going to go up every year. I don't care if it goes up $10.
Yes.
And a lot of that's because you've got replacement cost in there typically, and building materials go up if nothing else. So the cost of materials go up, and so you know you want to so anyway.
You brought up a great point here on homestead exemptions, because that determines how much property taxes you pay.
Correct.
When you're buying a home, the title company files that exemption for you, typically.
Right.
You should definitely check. But if you've refinanced your home at any point during the year,
that's another whole show.
Yes, it is up to you to please go file your exemption yourself. It is only on you. And if you don't, without that exemption being applied, your property taxes will go up, and that will definitely affect your escrow
That will
payments.
make you have a bad day, really.
Yes.
Yeah, it will make you have a bad day.
So excuse me. So Diana, so when you do refinances, are you aware? Does the title company?
No. So technically, the way it's supposed to work.
Okay.
But you can get into this trap that Shelley just mentioned too. So technically, the way it should work is that your homestead. First of all, your homestead is basically saying, "This is my primary residence.
Right.
My name is Jane Doe, this is my primary residence." At the time you're refinancing, you're not changing, "My name is Jane Doe, and this is my primary residence." So the homestead should stay there, it shouldn't go away. But let's say now you're going to add, you got married. Let's say you're refinancing, or say you didn't get married, but just let's say this time when you're refinancing, I want to add my daughter, I want to add my partner, I want to add, I want my property to go into a trust.
Gotcha.
I want this, I want that. You just changed the ownership.
Gotcha.
And at that point, your homestead is going to drop off.
Okay.
You got to refile and let them know this is still
Just
my
when the
home.
deed has changed,
Yes.
is what I hear you saying.
Yeah, and at any time and point, guys, you got to be real careful of that. Because the mortgage company is, now when you purchase, they're on top of it.
Right.
Right? Because they know you're going to be the new owner of the property. And even then, that's a service that they give you. But they also tell you you have to check. You are responsible for making sure that homestead gets filed. Even if you close
they do say that.
and the title company handles it for you, you have to check. And you want to make sure it's there, it's showing somewhere before December 20th, unless you're closing in December, it gets to be a little bit hairy. But as long as it's filed before, I think it's December 31st.
Yes.
Last year, I think they might have went into January, the first few days in January. But we're talking significant money in terms of a difference of your monthly payment, so you want to make sure. But to your point, Shelley, yes. Now, I tell you what has gone away, and this is the exemption that we always had to refile on refinances, was mortgage exemptions. So the mortgage exemption's gone away.
Right.
So it used to be that if you owned the property as your primary residence, you had the homestead. If you had a mortgage on the property, you had a mortgage exemption too. It gave you a $3,000 deduction. That has gone away to the best of my knowledge.
From my understanding, it was added to the homestead.
Well, that would be nice.
That's what I've been told by every title company.
Yep. That would be nice.
I go to my closings.
That would be nice. That would be nice if it's added to the homestead.
That's what they say. And they do say that, I think, maybe to make the buyer thinking that something's taken away from them, you know, but they do say that.
That's good. That's good. So when you look at your little tax bill and you can see all those exemptions that you can have, which I would encourage people to do because you may not have all those that you can have. And what is an exemption or what is a deduction? We use those words interchangeably. It is an additional discount. So when we say homestead deduction, think in terms discount. I'm getting a discount on my property taxes because I live here as my primary residence. I'm getting a discount on my property taxes because I'm a disabled veteran. I'm getting a discount on my property taxes because I'm a senior citizen. And on the back of the tax bill, it has a whole list of reasons that you may be eligible for to reduce your property taxes. But that's what it is. It's just simply a discount. So we use this word escrow, designated savings account, for a particular purpose, deductions or exemptions. This is a discount against your taxes. This is the concept. This is a discount against your taxes to lower the cost of your taxes because you qualify, because you fit into some of these other categories.
So Diana, I have a question on escrow. How is it calculated?
Okay, that is such a good question. So the way it's calculated, let's say your taxes are due. Let's say your taxes are $100 a month. That's $600 semi-tax, right? $1,200 a year.
Correct.
Okay. Let's say, so that's $1,200 a year. Taxes are calculated by taking your total tax for the year and dividing it into 12. I'm going to say, how are my taxes? What I'm giving you is how your taxes are calculated for your mortgage payment.
Right.
Okay. So if the taxes are $1,200 a year, we divide that by 12 months, so that means you have $100 a month that's coming out of your mortgage payment, going into your savings, also known as your escrow account, for your taxes. Okay. Now, what's important to know is if taxes go up, let's say they went from $100 to $150.
Okay.
Now, and this is happening because everybody's taxes, I think, for the most part, just went up.
Yes.
A lot.
We had a guest on the show not too long ago about that.
Your taxes went up, so you're going to get notified that your taxes went up. That's number one, because typically the assessed value's gone up.
Right, but I'm saying that they receive a bill. The mortgage company receives something.
Yeah, right. The mortgage company, but the notification should come from the treasurer's office too. So, but see, this is another area where, and I hear what you're saying, Janice. This is another area where I really would love for people just to go in and and look at the tax bill on the site, on the treasurer's site, because you want to be notified of these changes before they happen. So what I mean by that is if the taxes have increased and you weren't properly notified and you still think they're 100, but the mortgage company now has to pay what would be 900? If it's 150, I think it's 900. 900 every 6 months instead of 600 every 6 months. They're going to pay that bill, whether you have the money in the account or not. That's insurance and taxes. They always are going to pay it. But then what they're going to do is they've got to raise your payment to cover that overdraft portion. And they normally will allocate that over a 12-month period. But they're going to raise your payment to cover that overdraft portion. And they also have to raise your payment because your new tax went up $50.
Exactly.
It is there where the pain, that's where it's painful. It's painful a lot because I don't know that there's a good job being done on notifying people of the change, and that's coming. The other thing is you can always pay a lump sum and get rid of that deficit part. You know, there's some other things you can do. You can always call me later. I don't want to get into that too much. But when those tax bills start changing and you're not really aware of how that's done, that's when you can end up with, or your options, that's when you can end up with those significant swings in mortgage payment. if that answers the question to some extent.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Are escrows required? Are you required to have an
That's a
escrow?
great question, great question. With government loans, you are. With FHA, VA, USDA, you are required to have an escrow account.
Okay.
With conventional loans, if you're putting down 20%, typically, then you can waive your taxes and insurance. They can be waived.
They still need to be paid.
They need
They're
to be
just
paid.
not included in your monthly
That
payments.
is exactly right.
Okay.
That is exactly
Can you
right.
ask to have them included?
You're going to have them included unless you request that they not be included.
I'm talking about what Fannie Mae, what you were just
You
saying.
mean once the loan is on the books?
Yeah.
Okay, so two things.
Well, before, I guess, going in
with 20% down.
about 20%. I got you. Never mind. I'm thinking a
Okay.
little bit lower.
So if you're going in with 20% down, definitely you can ask them to be exempt.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
With FHA, VA, USDA, with the government products, guys, you could have 50% down. You're going to still have an escrow account. That's just the safety factor when it comes to government financing. If you already have a conventional loan on the books with Fannie or Freddie and you've lived in your home for a while and you have an equity position at a certain place, potentially you could have them removed out of escrow, but that's a conversation between you and your servicer at this point for them to tell you if that would be an option and how much that would be. So that's how that works. One of the ways, and I would encourage everyone who has homeowners insurance, look at your premium. What I do see a lot of is at closing, the premium's like $1,100 or $1,200 a year. Maybe they'll call me to refinance in a couple of years, 3 years, and now the premium could be $2,500 or $3,000. And there's been no claim. There's been nothing to justify that. So right there, you may want to look for another insurance provider right there. By looking for another insurance provider and maybe getting a new insurance policy, in theory, you could maybe reduce your own mortgage payment by $100 without the refinance part. So right there is an opportunity for you to reduce your payment. It's going to be, if there's any way to do it without refinancing and going through a lot of other things, it's going to be with your insurance. But sometimes I see what I almost would term like predatory premiums, especially when they start one way and then they zoom up and there's no justification. Now, if you had a claim, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it is.
But just something for you to think about.
That's another story. We'll have to have the talk about the claims.
Yes.
That is, I think as a new home buyer, you want to make sure that everything's covered.
Yes.
And I've seen that, the exact same thing. The new homeowners are overinsured.
Yes.
Their property may be worth $500,000, they're insured for $800, but what they don't realize is that they're still only going to get the value of the home. They're not going to get the extra.
Well, I think Diana made a very,
$300,000.
very good point. Going in, we need to keep our payments where we need to keep our payments. So we're the lender's trying to work with you for it to be more comfortable. We know that everybody has a different mortgage amount, insurance amount, but we do what we can to make sure it's going to work for you. And you have to remember that, so maybe your deductible, is going to be higher than you thought you could do.
Right.
You started off at $2,000 or $3,000, but anyway, the payment needs to work, and you're good with that.
It needs to
so
work.
some of the things you probably need to remember about that, because the insurance companies, they're just doing it automatically.
They do it automatically,
And that
absolutely.
really, I think I need to take a look at, and then I have to say, okay, now that means you're going to look at the whole thing, because usually you got everything included,
Right.
your car or what have you.
Right.
But they just do it automatically. But you know what? When something hits, you're probably glad about that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's important to have insurance. I mean, I personally just went through this. I got a renewal for an insurance policy, and it had jumped like $500. Okay. We have no claims, so our credit's great. So I reached out to my agent and said, hey, this policy jumped like $500. And he said, Diana, I know a lot of that's going on. And explained that these situations around the country with the weather, the floods, the
Yeah,
fires,
how can it not?
all of this, you know, the same company that maybe I have my insurance through here in Indiana
Paid out $1 million in Florida.
yeah,
you know,
right.
or Puerto Rico. Or
yes, exactly. And so I understood that. It's always good to understand why the
Makes
increase.
sense.
But at the end of the day, we made some changes. I bumped my escrow up a little bit, and they made an adjustment, and I think brought it back down $400, so my increase was only $100.
Wow.
And so, and normally, I mean, typically, if you have to tap into your insurance, which you don't want to do without talking to your agent, without, you know, but if you have to tap into your insurance, what I've seen, even with significant repairs, those contractors figure out a way to handle your deductible or help you with that part. You know.
They do.
So, but insurance, check your insurance policy. Know how much you're paying out for taxes and for insurance. Now, one of the tough things to do, guys, tough. One of the tough things to do is to figure out how to project an increase in your payment, because taxes and insurance are possibly going to go up. You've been notified that they're going up, okay? Now you've got to know, how do you really increase your mortgage payment maybe before your company sends you a notification saying your payment's this much, because I had to bump it up to cover the overage, the deficit, as well as the increase. Now that's a tough thing to do, but what I would really do, I would try and get in front of that as much as possible. If you don't do anything else but put extra money in your escrow account for now.
$25 or something.
Yeah, because maybe they're going to bump the payment up, but you can control how much they bump that up by making sure you eliminate the deficit. You don't want to overdraw your escrow account. So just put a little extra money in your escrow account. At some point, they're going to analyze the escrow account. If it's too much money, they're going to offer that back to you. So you don't lose it. Remember, it's a savings account.
Real quick. Oh, sorry.
I love that.
New construction.
Yeah, that's it. We're on the same page.
Okay.
Whole different breed.
Okay.
Whole different.
New construction, the best news that I can give new construction folks is, if you've closed, like say this year, you may not have taxes being assessed on your home yet, just on the land, so your taxes are not very much.
Right.
But you want to keep your pulse on that assessment. If I had to reach out to my township assessor, I think it's a township assessor, reach out to your township assessor, even if it's right now. Ask them, what's the best practice? What would they recommend? Because you don't want to get caught by those taxes kicking in, surprising you, and your mortgage payment going up $300, $400, $500.
Yeah.
Per month?
Okay? Per month, yes.
Per month. And that's been explained in the very beginning, but you know, as we know, when you close, all you're doing is, you know, when is my payment due, and getting my keys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope this has been very informational for you. Have a great day.